Hello and welcome to Chiff Chat, the organ podcast with me, Ben Blore. Hey, thanks for clicking on this. By doing that, you've taken a real leap of faith. You probably have no idea what this even is, and to be honest, I'm not sure I do either. But to try and explain as best I can, this is a podcast for people who want to hear other people talking about organs, organ music, Vienne, Bach, Carg-Elert, wind pressure, diapasons, adjustable benches, quintidinas, salacious organ gossip, and cornopians. Now, it seems every man and his dog has a podcast these days, and I thought it would be a good idea just to have some sort of organ theme one floating around. That's not to say there haven't been organ podcasts in the past, and in fact, completely coincidentally and independently, the Royal College of Organists has also just started a podcast, so definitely have a listen to that too, the more the merrier. That's probably dead professional, whereas this one's held together with hope and sellotape. I think of them as the sort of Financial Times of podcasts, and I'm more sort of Viz or the Beano, you get the idea. But yeah, this is a new venture and a new adventure for me. Well, I say that, it's a bit of a spin-off, I suppose. I have a YouTube channel where I post videos of me playing pieces on the organ, but I also started a video essay series a while ago, which is also called Chiff Chat. I know it's confusing and it's terrible for Google search engine optimization, but let me worry about that. Anyway, the Chiff Chat series did all right. Some people seem to enjoy them. I don't know, I never watched them myself. It's not really my kind of thing. So basically how this podcast works is I've got 6 episodes for you, all cram-packed to the brim with more organ talk than you can shake a conductor's baton at. And each week I have a different special guest. We have a little chat about their life, get to know what organ music they like and what they don't, and there's even a few little games thrown in for good measure. However, even though all those interviews are pre-recorded, the intro that you're hearing right now is going to be recorded week on week, so hopefully we can get a bit of interactivity going. So if you'd like to ask me any questions, you can email me on podcast@chiffchat.com. That's podcast@chiffchat.com. If you need help spelling Chiff Chat, well, just have a look at the thing you just clicked on. Perhaps you want to ask me what organ piece I might take to a desert island. Perhaps you'd like to ask me to theory craft my perfect instrument. Or perhaps you simply want to check in to see if I've been eating my vegetables like a good podcast host. Please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you, unless you're a bit weird, in which case just don't, really. And if no one emails in, I'm absolutely not above making up some questions like a right old Billy No Mates. Now, I know you're all dying to get onto the first episode, and we're opening with a real cracker, let me tell you. But before we do, I want to preempt a question I may well get, as it's been asked before. Where did the name Chiff Chat come from? Did you just call it that because it's pleasingly alliterative and it sounds cool? What do those words mean? Well, let me explain. You see, a chat is the process of having a conversation with someone, generally in a friendly, informal manner. Okay, is that all cleared up? Great. Oh, okay, you want to know what chiff means? Okay, well, chiff is the technical term for the initial noise heard when the air first goes into an organ pipe. It's a good word for it, actually. It's almost onomatopoeic. It sort of makes a ch-ch-ch sound. A friend pointed out to me that she thought I'd called it chiff chaff, which was confusing to her as that's apparently a type of small bird. So any ornithologists still listening, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you're in the wrong place. Similarly, if you were expecting a podcast about organ transplants, you won't find what you're looking for here, I'm afraid. Try the true crime section. But if you're here to listen to two blokes from the Midlands have a bit of a natter about musical organs, well, let's get right down to having a good old chiff chat with today's guest. I'll see you on the other side. Bye. Hello, you've made it onto the podcasty bit of the podcast. Come on in, take your coat and shoes off, have a brew. We'll look after you in here. An audio wizard, a YouTube sensation, a fantastic organist. Today's guest has been described as all of these things, just now, by me. I'm delighted to be joined today by Richard McVeigh. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Ben.
How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Now, if the audio happens to sound slightly different on this episode, it might be because this isn't being recorded in my little box of an office in London, but rather in the living room of McVeigh Towers. The more likely reason that it might sound different is that we've just got the sheer proximity to an actual professional setup. If you can picture the scene, in my eye line, as I look to one side, there's a blissful family utopia with fireplace and telly, and to the other side is a whacking great 4-manual cathedral organ console. If you're subscribed to me on YouTube, chances are you're already subscribed to Richard on his actually successful channel, Beauty and Sound. Richard, in your own words, or in the words of Gandhi, if you want to get all abstract and surreal about things, could you describe what your channel's about and what you do?
So Beauty and Sound is about the organ. It's about promoting the organ. It's about introducing it to new people, to young people, middle-aged people, to old people, male, female. It has no objective other than to bring people together in an organ community through promotion and through sharing a love of, I guess, organ music, but also in a love for sharing and improving and just sort of going under the skin and picking apart what makes a good organ performance or a good organ recording, and also liturgical stuff as well. So hymns, psalms, plain song, we do all of that on Beauty in Sound.
We've done a bit of collaborating, haven't we?
have.
I've reared my ugly head on your channel a few times. In fact, I got a Facebook memory earlier today that said, a year ago today I was here doing some Franck.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was, well, it was César Franck's anniversary in
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
2022, last year, and you played the very first piece of Fantasy in A minor, I think. Was it C?
It was one of the fantasies, wasn't it? Oh, I can't remember. Maybe it was the C major one.
The C major one.
Yeah,
That was
I played
the
both of them. Can't
That
remember.
was the first one he wrote.
And you've come to the oratory to record as well. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, to be honest, over the last year. My wife works around the corner, so I just got in touch with you on a whim one day, and glad I did, really, because turns out we're sort of brothers in arms. We've got the same birthday. We're both from the Shire.
You're older than me, though, right?
I'm 21 and a bit, yeah.
Yeah. I've been 21 for a long time now.
I know, yeah. We're both from Derbyshire.
Yes.
And
I'm from the north. The best.
that's the
The
one.
upper.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say you're a bit of an inspiration to a lot of people. We're now living in times where organists don't necessarily have to become church musicians to make a living. And I mean, you're living proof that having the guts to follow your dream has clearly paid off for you. Could you give us a bit of a history as to your background and what you did to get to this stage?
How to get to this stage? Wow. So background. I think the earliest relevant part to my life story for this podcast is joining the church choir in Chesterfield, which is just up the road from Derby, at the Crooked Spire in the 90s. As a chorister, I loved. I didn't have any idea what church music was before joining the choir. My friend at primary school was in the choir, and he and I would play football together. And he said to me, "Come and join the choir. I've joined the choir. It's really good." No, I don't want to join the choir. I don't want to join the choir. I like playing football. A typical, dare I say it, boy answer to that question. But I joined the choir simply because he was in it. And I discovered something very, very quickly, even as a very young boy. I discovered something that I had never experienced before. And that was music and everything that comes with making music as a team. So working together as a team, as a choir, was really inspirational to me at that point. And I discovered something that changed my life at that moment. And then had piano lessons with the director of music there, and then had organ lessons there as well. And then when I discovered the organ, there was no turning back. It was just one big toy, one big gadget. I like pressing buttons. I like big things, and the organ was loud. It's a big thing, and it's a big toy. So it ticked a lot of my boxes. Played that, and then that was what I thought. That's what I wanted to do, because that was actually in my life. I had two things in my life that I really enjoyed, and it was computers. Three things actually: computers, music, and cars. So I then went off to university to study music, and then became an organ scholar at Chester, York, and then came down to Winchester as assistant organist. So I followed my dream as becoming an organist. But on the side of doing all of that, I was still fiddling around with IT stuff. I mean, I did IT at A-level and at GCSE as well. So I always had an interest in that. And I discovered that sound recording to music technology was really exciting. I thought it was really exciting anyway. And it was a perfect combination, the perfect, I guess, halfway house between IT and music. For me, was music tech. And when I discovered that, Like, so whenever you might be getting the impression that whenever I get a new idea, I always go off and follow that idea, and that is true. I have a habit of not finishing projects and just going off. So music tech was my sort of new light bulb moment, and an opportunity basically came a few years ago for me to follow that dream, and that's how beauty and sound became a thing, was to follow the music tech dream.
Obviously, the focus of your channel is organ music, but as you say, I suppose it's in pursuit of the high quality of sound and recordings and stuff. Is that where Beauty and Sound, the name, came from?
So I think it was inspired from finding beauty within sound. So sound as a thing is far beyond music. So that everything you hear is a sound, whether it be bird song, a tire skidding down the road, or someone stamping their foot on the floor. It's all sounds, and I was just keen to explore what makes sound beautiful. Why do we as humans take something from sound? I think sound is so important to us as humans, which is how music, I guess, over the centuries has evolved. Because we as humans, we respond to the emotions that music, the beauty that music can give us. And I thought that was actually a pretty cool name, really. And it just it became BIS for short, Beauty in Sound. Yeah, that's basically where it came from.
Jumping around a bit here, but how important is it in the grand scheme of things for organists and musicians in general, I suppose, to have some sort of online presence nowadays? Is it a necessity?
No, simply because it depends what the artist is seeking. If an organist or pianist, flautist, guitarist, whatever, singer, anyone, if they want to actively promote themselves to get more work, then I guess it is very important. If the musician is merely doing it for their own enjoyment, then I don't see a need to. I think I do think that. I have a bit of a presence, and I have got work out of having a presence online. People invite me to do concerts and recitals, having met me online, basically. And I'm very fortunate to have been invited to go over into Europe next year and over to America as a result of my online presence. Cool. So I can say, yes, I'm living proof that having an online presence does work. But I don't think it's important if you don't want to sort of seek attention. Mm-hmm. If like I say, if you're an amateur and you're just enjoying it, there's no need. Or if you're a professional full-time organist at in a post somewhere, mm-hmm. And you're happy with that, then no need, possibly. But if you're a freelance professional, possibly. I think, and this is where we are now in 2023. If we think about the future in 10, 15 years' time, when the world is more online, and our children's generation are our age, and they're growing up with online activities on television, and everything's sort of live. Everything's live as in its streaming broadcasts on YouTube, mm-hmm. iPlayer, where everything's on demand. We need to sort of future-proof ourselves, I think. So we need to think about, yes, that you and I have a bit of a presence online. The younger generation coming up, they're going to naturally gravitate towards that. Mm-hmm. And I suspect all of the kids today who are there in their 20s, 30s, they'll all have online presences. Even now, though, it's so cutthroat, isn't it? You on social media and everything, it can be about who shouts the loudest sometimes. And I'm not saying that's how it should be. Unfortunately, that is the case, yeah. I try not to. I only promote myself through BIS channels. So I have Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and I've also got one called Threads, which I don't tend to use. I'm not very good with those sorts of things, and of course YouTube and my Facebook groups. And I only tend to promote myself in my channels. Mm-hmm. I don't infiltrate other people's groups and say, come and look at me. Yeah. I just think. I thoroughly believe that if you have something that people will enjoy, people will find you. So I have this platform mm-hmm. across all of these channels, and it's there for people to come and find if they want to come and find it. That's my job. to put it there, and then if people want to come and find it, they'll find it.
Well, I have to say congratulations, because it's sort of old news by now, but you fairly recently surpassed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, that was quite a moment.
Phenomenal achievement, yeah. And I'm right in saying you get a special plaque, is that right?
Yeah, which, like you mentioned earlier, Ben, it does double up as a mirror, because it's very reflective.
It's made of silver, yeah. I got one recently for passing 2,000 subscribers. It's made of mud.
Yes, a bit of cardboard.
I'll let you see it at some point. Blooming cold over here, Richard's living in your shadow. Right, so on your channel, you post performances on your house organ, which again is absolutely incredible. Still can't get over how amazing it is to just have that in your...
Yeah, it's quite a thing, isn't it?
You're a big supporter of the software Hauptwerk, which for those who don't know is a program that lets the player take pre-recorded audio sample sets of various organs from around the world and download them onto their computer in order to play them digitally through a house organ, which is amazing to think about. Recently, you took it upon yourself to try your hand at doing this at Romsey Abbey. Can you tell us a little bit about that organ and the no doubt arduous process you had to go through to record every single note on every single stop?
Sampling an organ is a very involved, tedious, repetitive task. So the main purpose and goal of sampling an organ is to replicate everything about it, from its nuances, the noises that the keyboards make, the noises that the stops make when they're pulled in and pulled out, pushed in, all of the sort of really, really nerdy stuff like that. But then, of course, the pipes, so every single pipe is recorded numerous times. So the opening of the pipe, the closing of the pipe, and then the sustain of the pipe itself is recorded. And this is because we, as I guess people who like this software, we'd like to have organs at home. We'd like to be able to invite people like Ben Blore round to the BIS studio music room to play these replicas. And we're recording an organ like Romsey Abbey, which is that's all well and good because it's just only 20 minutes down the road from where I am here. But there are other organs from around the world which are just thousands of miles away from me, which this software allows us to play in our own house, and people down in Australia can enjoy organs from France and Germany, whereas otherwise they wouldn't have been able to have experienced these organs. So the software that we use, the sampling software, is a relatively new addition to the organ technology sphere, but it's a really fabulous thing, and I'm a huge supporter of what it can do. I think not just in terms of, what it can bring in terms of education and organ knowledge. I have played cavicles in the real world. I've played the German organs. I've also played down in Italy. But actually learning, for example, the Bach trio sonatas or the chorales, we're playing the Orgel Buchlein on a Silbermann organ in my dining room, really opens my eyes as to what these mutations sound like, how beautifully colourful these flutes are, how big the pedal mixture is in the plenum. You think, oh wow, this is how he can play this music. This is how he can register it. That's why there wasn't a great to pedal, because the pedal mixture was humongous. It didn't need it. These sorts of things that you don't really think about. Yeah. We now have the answers on our fingertips because we can play it and experience it for ourselves.
I don't want to get too much into the debate about pipe organs versus digital organs, but I know there's often a lot of factors at play, not least including price and preference and maintenance and all that kind of stuff. But do you have anything to say to the naysayers out there who dismiss digital organs out of hand?
Well, I think I believe there shouldn't be a versus. Good. Simple as that.
Good.
Because a pipe organ is a wonderful thing, and that's what I was brought upon. and churches and cathedrals and concert halls, a pipe organ in those spaces sounds utterly tremendous. A digital organ, I think, is what. So I use it at home for the reasons I've just said. So practice, organ workshops, education, inviting people like you to come around and play it. I think the best thing about these organs, as I've just said, is to have it at home and really experience these sort of Cabai Coles, these Willises, Silberman organs, whatever organ it is. We can experience it in our own house and we can learn repertoire on the sort of organ that the piece was written for. I think that is where they really come into their own. I don't believe there should be an argument of pipe organ versus digital organ because they are such different things. And I think there is a space in the world for both. It's like there's a space in the world for pianos and Yamaha Casio keyboards. There's definitely a space for both.
So you go trekking around the country and beyond with your trailer full of mics and equipment, recording notable organs around the UK. I mean, just looking through your old videos, you've been to Truro, Chichester, Lincoln. Do you have a favourite one of these you've done, and why was it the Brompton Oratory?
Simply because of the organist there. It's just,
He prompted you on that. Yeah.
No, I'm very proud of them all, actually. And what I think I am proud of is that I've been given access to these really wonderful places. So when I was a kid, I remember buying CDs from places like you just mentioned, and thinking these are like my dream places to sing, to play, and just to be. And now I can actually say that I've recorded the organ in there. That's a real pinch yourself moment. And I feel really proud that I've been given the privilege of doing that. And what I also like doing is looking back through my catalogue, because I've only been recording these organs for 2 or 3 years. And I like going back to my very earliest one and then just seeing how they've developed over the years. So I've now recorded nearly a dozen cathedral organs and notable organs. And each one is very different to the previous one. So I always look back and think, oh, that wasn't very good, or that camera transition wasn't very good, the microphone was way too close. All these things that I hear and see on the screen. I like seeing my journey from going from that as an absolute beginner to now, well, a little bit beyond a beginner. I would say I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet. But it's a real privilege to go and record these places.
To be fair, it must be quite daunting getting into a cathedral or something and then knowing you've got limited time to place microphones, and I suppose you've got to use your ears quite carefully.
You have to use I use my, I guess other engineers do as well, I have to use a little bit of intuition. So I ask all of my organists and performers to tell me how the organ's laid out in advance, so I know where everything is. And I remember texting you numerous times, where's the choir? Where's the grate? Which way around are they? And I like to know exactly where everything is, because I like to mic the organ in my own way. So I have, and the way I do it is I'm able to get home. So I have microphones all over the building and all over the organ. And when I get home, I can completely change the levels on all of those microphones. I don't need to find the balance in the building on the night. I think that's very risky to do that. Because when you get home and get into the studio and get your headphones on, it ultimately sounds very different to what you hear in the building. So I like to change everything around. I like to mic the swell closely, the solo closely, and when there's a solo on the solo division, perhaps I'll just put up the microphone there, and then when that clarinet has gone off, drop down the microphone again, and then go down to the grate. I like the flexibility of that.
Yeah, so in a way you could provide a better than perfect audio picture of it.
I may or may not have been told that one of the organs I recorded sounded a lot better on my recording than it does in real life.
How about that?
by a very eminent organist. Amazing. And I shall name no names or no places.
Have you got grand plans to try and record every single cathedral in the UK?
I would absolutely love to record every single cathedral in the UK if I'm given access to them.
All right, come on, guys.
Some places are obviously harder to get into than others, but I'm working my way around. I'm asking very nicely to people I have organs lined up. Yeah, so cathedral organs, I'd love to record them all. That is the Church of England cathedrals. Then, of course, there's other Catholic cathedrals as well. Mm-hmm. But there's other organs I am planning to record in the future. Mm-hmm. Churches where there are really wonderful organs in London and around London, all over the place. It's just finding a time to do everything.
Just going back to Hauptwerk very quickly, I have an idea. How far do you think it could be pushed? What do you think of this? You put on a VR headset and you're transported into the driving seat of whichever organ you're playing. So you can still have the music on your desk and you can practice as normal, but you'd be virtually surrounded by the pipes and the architecture of the building.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely love that idea. I think that's going to be a very expensive thing to develop.
Probably would. We had our kitchen done recently, and you can try on a VR headset in the thing and see it, around you and everything.
Yeah. Well, you can in cars. So there are various car racing simulators. I'm a bit of a geek. I know about cars, car sims and stuff. Spoken about that before on my channel. You can get into any car you like with a headset on, basically a virtual reality version of any car. Sit there and you can look around. And you can drive the car whilst sat in the seat. Nice. I can see it working with the organ. I suppose the only odd thing would be is you wouldn't see your own arms. If you look down at the keys, there'd be no arms there. Look down at the pedals. Oh, where are my feet?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
They've all disappeared. So there is that slightly odd thing to get around.
I did feel a bit sick in that kitchen
scenario. Yeah, you get travel sick,
like actual sick. But yeah, I mean, I suppose at an organ, you're not really moving around, are you?
But you heard it here first. I think that's a good idea.
Patent pending. In a way, I feel rather embarrassed in the presence of such an audio god turning up here with my one impotent microphone, which, quite frankly, I only bought because it lights up. So right, we'll put a pin in the VR Hauptwerk idea. How about we start an organ ASMR channel? As far as my understanding goes, you just get really near the microphone and whisper sweet nothings to make the audience's collective skin sort of go all tingly. Right, so you just go really near the microphone and you say, like, Quintadina. Give it a go.
Voix Celeste.
High wind pressure.
Smelly organ shoes.
John Scott Whiteley. Great, good. That's fine. Maybe it might take off. Yeah. ASMR is that thing where like people whispering and you have your headphones and it's like really sort of.
I don't know. Have I not heard of this? Why have I not? What does it stand for?
Audio sensory median response or something like that.
Spatial music. So
that's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really it gets sort of in your brain and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look it up. Yeah.
Okay, as we always do, we're going to cap off the interview section with some quick fire questions. These are the same questions every week for each of my guests. And at the end of the series, I'm going to collate everyone's answers, and the person whose answers I like the least will be eliminated. Okay, Richard?
Okay.
Good. Right. First, favourite organ?
Oh, the BIS organ, of course.
Okay, good answer. Favourite organ composer?
Ooh, for organ composer. Well, that's what do you mean organ composer?
A composer who's written stuff for the organ.
And nothing else?
No.
A composer, then?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Well, I mean, some people haven't written for the organ.
Correct. Well, Bach.
Okay.
Of course.
No one ever says John Stanley. Favourite performer, alive or dead?
John Scott.
Favourite recording?
John Scott. Here's Dupree.
Okay.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
Probably, well, only because that was the first organ disc. One of the first, it wasn't quite the first organ, the first one I ever bought was one of Hollow Curly. Mm-hmm. But yes, the John Scott Dupree.
Is it good recording quality as well?
Not really. No. Okay. Not really at all. No, the organ sounds like a complete mess in terms of it's so much acoustic, but the way John plays is phenomenal. And yeah, he plays the esquisse on there, the two of the preludes and fugues, and the variations on Noel, other bits. Just phenomenal playing.
Far too hard for me. I don't play hard music.
So that one, sentimental reasons.
Composer who never composed any organ music, but you wish they had.
And that's a good question.
Thanks.
And I'm going to say Francis Poulenc.
Yeah.
Because I love his music. I find his music it's so jolly, it's so happy, and I love that he was pushing the boundaries of music. And I just think his music really puts me in a really happy place. His motets, his orchestral music, his organ concerto, which he didn't actually write the organ part himself. Obviously, Droufflet transcribed it for him.
Is that right? I never knew that, really.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, totally right. Yeah, Poulenc, he sort of wrote it out for piano and
my whole life is a lie, really. He didn't write that.
Well, he wrote it, but the Droufflet sort of transcribed it for the organ. You know that.
No, I didn't know that.
You've made my day. I've told you something that you didn't know.
Pulled the rug right out of my feet. Yeah, okay.
And you played something here, actually.
I did. I did a transcription.
You did, and it was fantastic.
It was a naughty name, yeah.
Yes, and something. Yeah. And I thought that actually really works as an organ piece, your arrangement. And I thought, if Poulenc was writing music for the organ like this, it would be fantastic.
He's such a melodist, and he's got such an easy way of going between the keys. It's so impressive. Cavecol or Harrison and Harrison?
What do you mean? What happens to the one that I don't choose? Do they all get burnt?
Yeah,
they all disappear from existence.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. But then, do all the Harrison organs get replaced with Cavaille-Colles and vice versa? So if I chose Harrison, does Sansel Peace suddenly get a Harrison and Harrison?
Let's say for the sake of argument, yes.
Well, let's do that. Let's go for Harrison and Harrison, so we can throw out all of the Cavaille-Colles and put Harrison in Sansel Peace and in Notre Dame.
He was such a hack, wasn't he? Honestly.
He had no idea what he was doing.
Rubbish. Evensong or Mass?
Are we in the Church of England or are we in the Catholics?
Both. I mean, I suppose...
And which diocese as well?
Yeah, well, quite, yeah. I suppose alongside this question goes all of the music that comes with being at an Evensong or being at Mass.
I think a Mass, actually, because there is more music, potentially. In years gone by, we would have performed the entire setting, so from the Kyrie through to the Agnus Dei, cover to cover. And then everything else that goes in the Mass, bits of plain song, bits of plain chant, cantoring. I think the Mass is actually really a really beautiful thing. But then so is Evensong.
You wouldn't miss Best in D?
I would miss it no.
Okay.
I wouldn't miss the fugue, which is, it's all right.
Vidor or Vienne?
That's a good question. I would probably, I would go for Vidor simply because I think Vienne stood on Vidor's shoulders in terms of, I think had Vidor not been there, I don't think Vienne would have done what he did what he did. So I think Vidor really pushed the organ symphony. I think he was the first one. I mean, Guillemot wrote the organ sonata, which then Vidor then really developed into the organ symphony. And then Vienne took a Vidor, and then if you look at Vienne 6 compared to Vienne 1, there's a huge difference. It's like Vidor 1 and Vidor 10, very different, but there is definitely a trajectory of harmonic progression, and I think had Vidor not been around, Vienne wouldn't have composed his symphonies the way he did. So I would say Vidor. Mm-hmm. But I do love Vienne as well.
Reger or Carr-Gillett?
Do I have to choose any of those people?
There was only one correct answer there, really.
Well, I know who you'll say, because I know, yes. So I'm going to say the other person, which is Reger. Okay. Right. Because I play more Reger than I do Carr-Gillett.
Howells or Stanford?
For what? Organ.
Let's lump in the choral stuff as well.
No. Well, I think again it's the same with Vidor Vienne. Howells wouldn't have been Howells without Stanford. So I definitely think Howells' organ music to me is better than Stanford's choral music is very beautiful. I think Howells. Howells. It has to be Howells. Yep, Howells.
Bach or Messiaen? Really tricky one. Again, one gets consigned to the dustbin of history.
Bach or Messiaen for what? Good or bad? What? Bach or Messiaen? What happens to the other one?
Yeah.
No. Well, the obvious answer. Messiaen.
You're such a troll.
No.
You mean that? Really?
If I say yes, would you believe me? Why? They're so different.
I know.
So
I don't
different.
know why I put them together. Sorry, but it's like the
Bach.
titans of.
No, I wouldn't choose Messiaen. I mean, I don't confess to liking all of his music. Actually, I his later music doesn't speak to me. I don't understand it yet, but I need to spend more time with it. But his early stuff does. So L'Ascension, La Nativité, I think that those are masterworks. They're masterpieces. But his later stuff, I don't know.
It's an unfair question. Sorry, it's like choosing between your children, isn't it? Yeah. Right, and last one: socks or shoes?
I can't give you an answer to that simply because it depends on the organ. I have organs that I cannot play in shoes.
Interesting.
And vice versa. So it depends on the height of the pedal board, or should I say the height of the organ bench, sorry. And it depends on how heavy the pedals are, it depends where the swell pedal is, the toe pistons. So at Arundel, which is one of my churches, I only ever play in socks. But at Romsey, and here at BIS I can play it in neither. But at Romsey I have to play in shoes. Because that's a mechanical pedal board, so it's a bit heavier and the pedals are a bit narrower. But at Arundel, they're very light. You don't need to really press them very hard to play them. And they're actually quite wide, so the gaps between the pedals themselves, it isn't much. So I like to play in socks on that organ, so I can really feel where the pedals are.
You don't find it off-putting going between the two?
No, I'm ambidextrous and that sort of that sort of thing.
I mean, for me, the litmus test is if you can play the end of VN6 in your socks.
Well, I learnt it in socks.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, because I like learning those really hard bits in socks because you can really feel where everything is.
Okay.
The only problem is when you're having to go from like toe down to a heel, or an F sharp to an E sharp.
Yeah.
With the same foot, you have to push
a trip to A&E, don't you?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but then the difficulty is then translating what you've just learned playing in socks into shoes because it actually feels very different playing in shoes. So, but I learned them in socks. Yeah.
Cool. Rightio, it's time for our regular item, Organ Heaven and Organ Hell. This is where my guest tells us something good and something bad about their organ playing life. The good thing is heaven and the bad thing is hell. It's a pretty easy concept to grasp.
And a format that's ripped off basically every other medium ever. First of all, Richard, what sort of music makes you glad to be an organist as opposed to, I don't know, a serial killer?
Accompanying plain song, psalms and Anglican chant.
Okay.
I'm afraid to say the liturgy side of playing the organ is what really makes me happy.
Okay. Why?
Because it's a spiritual thing, and it's you're leading worship in a church or wherever you are, and it's a privilege to be able to do that. I think people go to church for whatever reason they go to church for, to pray, to meditate, to reflect, and as the organist and as the choir, I guess, you are acting as a kind of a platform for people to offer their prayers to the higher being, whatever you believe in. And I think the organist is in a real privileged position to be able to lift the liturgy, and as a result of that, to be able to lift people's feelings when they leave the church, and that's what makes me a happy person.
Oh,
playing the organ.
Brought a tear to my eye.
I don't know about that. And then playing the hymns as well, and the same reason, really.
Yeah. Do you have a preference between Anglican chant and plain chant?
So to listen to a plain song, or play plain chant, but to play, I think, Anglican chant, because I think you can be, dare I say it, talking to an organist who works in a Catholic church, He can be a bit more colourful in Anglican chant, a bit more modern, I think. He can solo out, descants on various stops, and playing chant. I think if you're doing it properly, you have to be sort of quite straight-laced about it. But there's something very moving about playing chant done well. I think that is more beautiful than Anglican chant, in some ways, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, I'm going to out myself here, but I can't stand playing Anglican chant psalms. I'm really sorry, I just can't. I just find it so boring. I think was it Mendelssohn who said he went to St. Paul's for an evensong and came away saying, "Oh, that was great, but why do they keep singing that same tune again and again and again?"
Yeah, yeah.
But I suppose you're right. If you colour it in special ways and solo things out,
it's a word painting.
Yeah,
I think it's like playing hymns. You can really word paint the hymns. Yeah. You can breathe it with the commas, and if it's talking about crowning him with many crowns, which we've done recently with Christ the King, that's sort of a fanfare type thing, and colour. Or you're going to go into Abide with Me. You can really bring out the softer colours of the organ. So there's a lot that you can do as an organist when accompanying the liturgy. I think more so than as a soloist.
Any specific organ pieces that you'd like to take with you up above?
Up above, I'd put.
We mentioned Vienna 6 a minute ago.
I did, but is that the sort of piece that's going to be played in heaven?
Yeah, on a loop constantly.
It's a bit sort of evil, isn't it, for heaven? Towards the end of it, where it goes absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Imagine like heaven being paradise, and just you can imagine going to heaven and just sort of like hearing ambient piano music, like in a spa.
Yeah.
But then not VN6 blasting out at full volume.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how if everyone is in heaven, who's ever lived, and everyone's taking their music, how noisy is it going to be up there?
Well, it's a bit of a flawed question, because I mean, if anyone gets to heaven and there's organ music playing, I think I'd say, right, send me down below.
Well, exactly, and it also depends on whoever's gone up to heaven, what sound system they've got. I mean, if I go up there, I'm taking all of this with me. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my speakers with me, and I've got my subwoofer in there. It's going to be turned right up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my little corner, my little crib, my sofa, and that's it. I'm going to be listening to VN6 on repeat.
What about Bach? What's your favourite bit of Bach?
Favourite bit of organ music by Bach? I can't answer that question. That's possible to answer, isn't it? Because they're all sort of the same in terms of most of them are very good. Some of them are a bit pants. I'm not going to name those names.
Did you record all the trio sonatas? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I learnt them all. I set myself a challenge to learn and record and perform all 6 in 12 months.
Did you learn them all in that space? Gosh.
Yep, I hadn't played a single one before that. Wow. So I started with one and went through to the end, which I think was probably the right sort of thing to do, because what one is, for anyone listening who wants to learn them, one is a good one to start with. Mm-hmm. It's not as hard as you might think. So I started with that and worked my way through. And by the time I got to number 6, I was actually in the groove a little bit, and didn't find, even though 6 was much harder than number 1, I didn't find it as hard to learn, because I was familiar with just, I guess, the coordination thing of hands.
Did you get any practical questions? Did you get any back pain playing them? Because I know, like, the way you have to sit at the organ with one hand sort of elevated above, or maybe did you?
No, I didn't do the octave thing.
Okay.
No, I made a conscious decision very early on not to put the hands up or down an octave. Well, it's the fact that if you go to another organ and then you have to not do that.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
it's like it's also like you should learn them with the hands up or down. Mm-hmm. So rather than always playing right hand on the grate, left hand on the swell or on the choir, always play them in different ways, because you're guaranteed to play it on another organ, and that way around won't work. So you just need to. No, but I did not do the octave thing.
Okay.
No, so I can't really answer the question of which piece of Bach is my favourite, because I think I love them all. If I was saying, okay, here we go. Here's the answer. The first movement of the 6th trio sonata.
6th one.
Yeah, the G major, the first movement. I think that's my favourite movement of the entire set. It's also not that hard to play, so it's sort of I have happy memories of that one.
One starts in unison.
Yes.
Or is that yeah, okay.
But the last movement of 6 is a bit of a killer.
I really like number 3. I think it's got some good tunes. It's manageable in terms of difficulty.
Oh, is it? Yeah, you find that one easy. Even the last movement.
easier than some others.
The problem is with the third trio sonata is it's sort of slow. The first movement is slow. The second movement is slow. You think, okay, this is good. You're going to have a whole trio sonata of slow movements. Then you turn the page.
It goes a bit
and then
crazy.
You look what's on the page, and the first word you see is vivace. Nearly got away with it. And I found Bach 3, the final movement of that, the hardest of them all.
Interesting.
I find that one absolutely took me the longest to get, and I'm terrified of that piece. Played it a couple of times in that learning and recording them all, but I dare not play it ever again.
Fair enough. I very rarely play trio sonatas in recitals because it just scares the proverbial out of me. Right, okay, so that's heaven. So now we're going to move on to hell. So what organ music do you dislike so much that if it were a smell, it would be dog poo?
Well, so I have to be careful about what I sort of openly say I dislike, because there's always someone out there who likes it. Mm-hmm. It's like various hymns I have to play. Not all hymns speak to me. But there's always people out there in the world who that hymn does speak to. And I think it's the same with organ music. I think this is a very sensible answer. But as an artist, someone who's playing music for people, you even if you don't like something, if something doesn't speak to you, someone in the audience is going to like it. I think if you think about, I can't stand that piece, I'm not going to play it. I think that's quite a selfish thing to do, because you're then not allowing everyone else who might enjoy that piece. Well, I can think of a few pieces I think it's a bit tacky, like the Sorte in E flat by Welly, which I think is a bit of an odd piece. Yeah. But there are people. I think it's an odd piece, but I get requested a lot to play it. Yeah, a lot.
And it's been a very diplomatic answer so far. You make a brilliant politician. But yeah.
And I think that sort of music that doesn't really float my boat, but people like it and it makes people happy, and I'll play it. I honestly don't think I have a piece that I can't stand. I don't think I do, actually. So can I turn the question around onto you and ask you what your pieces that you think is not even worthy to be dog poo? Your shoe.
Anything by Reagan. There we go. Full stop. Good. Off mic, you mentioned orchestral transcriptions of Viennese masses.
Yeah, that's because I find them hard to play.
They're just, they're fiddly, aren't they? But don't you find any sort of pride and accomplishment after you?
No, because they always go wrong. I always think about the wrong notes that I've played and that could have been better. And I always feel so stressed playing those Mozart masses. Mm-hmm. I would get terrified. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a full-time cathedral organist anymore. I'm more going towards recording. So my anxiety really held me back. And it was playing music like those transcriptions.
They do take up a disproportionate amount of time to register and bake in and try to make sound natural.
Yeah. I get it. So I think those, not because I don't like the music. I think the music is beautiful. But it's just playing them it's my worst nightmare. Yeah. That's my idea of hell, actually. Okay. Playing those pieces. Fair enough. Simply because they're so hard for me. Yeah.
Since the dawn of time, man has been in pursuit of knowledge, and thousands of years of evolution learning about fire and wheels and mathematics and science has all led up to this moment. It's Chiff Chat quiz time.
Right, now that's all built up. Yeah, time for big disappointment. Right, here we go. So, a couple of questions, Richard, with multiple choice answers. Are you ready?
No, but okay.
Right, here we go. Number 1. If people want traditional organ content on YouTube, they come to you. However, there's another YouTuber called Sam Battle who runs the channel Look Mum No Computer, and he's a sort of songwriter synth player dude with a safety pin to his ear. It's quite a look. He's a bit more alternative, and recently he made the news by purchasing a church organ which has been sat in a house in Bristol since the 70s and hooking it up to a Nintendo Game Boy, meaning he could control the pipes by programming commands to the Game Boy's memory. He's also done various other crazy things with organs. Which one of the following has he not done? A. Created an organ where the pipes are made of Furbies.
I don't know what a Furby is.
Furby's like a little electronic creature thing from the 90s. You know, it's,
Like a Tamagotchi?
and it goes rah, 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 like that.
Okay.
Yeah. B. Created an organ powered entirely by the player's thoughts. Or C. Created a flamethrower organ. Which one of those has he not done?
Well, being a subscriber of his channel,
Are you actually? Oh,
Yeah.
Sugar. Okay.
I've seen the flamethrower pipes. I don't remember the Fermi thingy, but that's the sort of thing that he'd do.
Furby. Come on, Grandad.
Furby. So I guess by power of deduction, B.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Well done. Yeah, so he's made a load of Furbies wobble away. It's pretty horrific if you can see it. Actually, try and find it. Yeah. Yeah, he's made one that shoots flames up into the air. And apparently, it doesn't sound very good, but it looks pretty cool. But he's not yet, to my knowledge, created an organ controlled by your mind, and that's still in the realm of science fiction. But for how long? Question 2. One of the places you've recorded on your travels is Chichester Cathedral, with its incredible organ housing some of the oldest pipework in the UK. One of Chichester's residents was organist-composer Thomas Weelkes. You might know where this is going. In 1613, famously, Weelkes did what to the Dean of Chichester? A. Married his daughter. B. Did a job swap. Or C. Did a wee on him from the organ loft.
I love it how stories like this have clearly become embellished over time. But I mean, he may have married his daughter. That sounds completely plausible. He may have done a job swap. You know, might have just agreed to do that over a few beers, because beer was very strong back then. That might have seemed like a good idea at the time. And after having had a few of those strong beers, I think he ultimately needed to go and, relieve himself. And if you're in the organ loft, where else better to do it is there than over the edge?
Yeah.
So I think it was C.
Correct. Number 3. What is the largest organ in the world? A. St. Stephen's Dom in Passau, Germany. B. The Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Or C. The Wanamaker Store in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Well, I'm going to go for C. The Macy's, isn't it? In Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's sort of a trick question, I'm afraid. And it depends who you ask. So, St. Stephen's in Passau is certainly the largest organ in Europe. It's got 5 manuals, 203 stops, and 325 ranks. The 2 organs in the USA, it depends what metric you go by. So you are correct in one respect. The Boardwalk Hall in New Jersey, it's got 7 manuals.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous because you have to reach up.
Yep. They're angled towards you.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
381 stops and 517 ranks. But the Wanamaker Store has 6 manuals, 470 ranks, but 395 stops. So one has more stops and one has more ranks.
Okay.
I think Americans seem a bit more bothered by ranks on organs, but
and swell pedals. So when I was having my organ built, and I actually showed the entire process. I shared it with my viewers from it being designed through it being built and then through it being delivered. One of the things that a few Americans were quite adamant about was that it didn't have enough swell pedals. It needed more swell pedals, and 2, I think, is perfectly fine. We could have probably gone for 3, but 3 or 4 with a crescendo pedal, I'm not quite sure we need that.
I think there's an organ in Longwood Gardens that has something crazy like 6 swell boxes or something, and you can program them to be on different manuals.
Right.
Bonkers
confusing.
to me. That would be so confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing. I find it confusing where an organ has shutters on different sides of the box.
So do I.
And you can control the shutters independently. Like a Blackburn you can. Okay. And a Gloucester you could.
Right.
You could do that there. I think if you're used to it, I think it can be very effective. Because you can open, like a Blackburn, you can open the shutters on the diapasons and on the chorus separately to the reeds. So you can really bring out the the plenum, if you like, and then bring out the reeds to really fire and fizz into that sound, and then take the reeds back down.
I'm sure that must be really exciting and colourful if you're the home organist, but it's not very.
If you're John Hosking, you can do that really well. Yeah.
Not very visitor friendly, is it? No. Now, there'd usually be 5 questions in these quizzes, but I thought we'd replace the last couple with something a bit different. An endless fascination of mine is Facebook organist groups, which are very often filled with catty old men having a pop at each other.
Interesting way to call it. A fascination.
Yeah, well, something like that. On one thread, someone tried to start a game, and he said, right, we're going to do the alphabet, but with organ stops. Organ stop names, rather. So he said, I'll start with the letter A, and then other commenters can do one for B and one for C and so on. But it was hijacked by this one guy, knowingly or not, who kept writing contra bombard under every single comment, all in capital letters every 5 minutes or so. So it just ended up being a bit of a farce, to be honest. I don't know if this is going to be good radio, but seeing as you've played so many organs, real and digital, and got to know so many stop names, I wondered if you wanted to give it a go.
No. I can't.
We're going to do
possibly.
it. No. I'll help you out. Don't worry. I've got a list of potential stops here, so I can help you out. Although I was really struggling on a few letters as well, so I'll cut out any awkward 3-minute silences that happen to come.
If you want to play along at home, you can, write some stuff down on a postcard and send it to us in the distant past. Right, here we go. Starting with A, and I might yell out contra bombard every now and then to give it an air of authenticity.
An A. Well, this is where you're going to have to edit out the silences and the train noises. A.
A's hard.
Can I go and have a look in my organ cupboard over there? Because
Sure.
I'm going to go and have a look.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't think I've got any A's.
I've really put you on the spot, sorry. So Richard's just gone over to his organ to cheat.
Yeah, don't mind me.
How is everyone? Stuck on A.
I've got a bowl full of stops here.
Okay. Richard's produced a bowl full of organ
Which
stops.
sounds like a bowl full of nuts, but it's not. It's organ stops. I haven't got an A, so I don't know. I can't think of an A.
We'll come back to that one. Okay, B.
Bombard.
C.
Contra bombard.
Very good.
Hey.
Gave you that one. D.
Double trumpet.
E. Also tricky. Think of divisions on the organ.
Echo. Flute.
Echo flute. Excellent. F.
Fagotto.
G.
Gemshon.
Really gets you thinking, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. H.
Whole flute.
I.
This
is another one of the ones I've really, really struggled on. I'm going to help you out here, actually. So, Italian principle is what I came up with.
over.
I know, yeah.
I suppose you could say that to every. You could name a country for every single
Yeah, exactly.
stop.
Well, actually, J is just as hard.
I have not got any eyes. I don't
Stop
think.
faffing around with your organ
My
stops.
nuts.
Right. J is another one. The only one I could find was Jubelhorn or Jubelhorn, which is kind of cornopian. Have you come across that before?
I think I have come across one of those
It's probably
before.
like
Yeah.
a Jubilee trumpet. Or
Exactly.
somewhere,
Yeah.
maybe. But K.
I think Blackburn has a jubilee. Yeah, I
Quite
can't
well
remember.
done.
A crumhorn. It's spelled with a K.
Very good. L.
Lieblich gedacht.
M.
Mont.
What's that? Oh, Mont. Oh, Montre.
Montre. However you want to.
Yeah. Okay. N.
Nachthorn.
You're good at this. O.
Orlos.
What?
Aha. Well, I have a stop on the organ of Rotterdam. Orlos. It's probably not pronounced like that at all, but it's like it's an enchimard oboe.
Oh, cool.
Everyone needs an enchimard oboe.
I mean, I was just expecting oboe or octave or something like that.
Yeah, but it's an Orlos. Okay. Yeah. Octave. That's not an organ. Well, it is. It's an organ stop, isn't it?
Right, about halfway through. Is this exciting to listen to?
Oh,
Anyone
riveting.
knows probably
Riveting, isn't it?
P.
Principal.
Good. Q.
Quintadina.
R.
Raw flute.
S.
Serpent.
What's that? Oh, it's like a big
The
sort
third
of off-a-clyde thing.
The
Yeah.
third Stephen reed or sackbut.
Oh, very good. T.
Trumpet. That's
Tuba,
too obvious.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
U.
Euphonium.
Is that with an E?
Damn. Yeah, and the famous euphonium organ stop as well. You, did you say?
Yeah.
Unison off.
Slightly skirting the rules, but yeah, I'll allow it, yeah.
You had octave a minute ago.
I've got Undermaris here, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
okay, you could have
allow
had
that.
Undermaris.
V.
Oh, zoom in.
Good. W.
W. Is there an obvious one that I'm really missing out here?
Not particularly. There's a German stop of a flute variety. Made of wood. I've got Waldflute.
Oh, yes, WALD. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the only one I can think of.
Fine, yeah. I have got one of those stops as well on my...
You've got open wood and stuff, but that's always preceded by...
The O.
Yeah. Okay, X.
No idea. Is there one?
Think of the only word that you can think of with X.
Xylophone.
Yeah, there must be a stop somewhere called xylophone, surely.
I was going to say X-ray.
We didn't do A, did we? Let's come back to that. I've got here Aeolene.
Yes, I know that one.
Yeah.
But I couldn't quite...
I don't know what it is. I think it's like a...
In my head, I was wanting to say Aeolian. I thought that isn't the right word. So I decided not to even say it at all. Yeah, that's like a stringy diapason-y sort of stop, isn't it? I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Y we'll come back to Z. Think like tinkly.
So, Zimbelstern.
Yeah, with a Z. Yeah.
Y, the Encyclopedia of Organ Stops website, which is a real cure for insomnia, let me tell you, doesn't have a single entry for Y. Only 4 entries for I, and not many for J either. If any of our 9 listeners has any ideas, let us know. But don't ever let it be said that we don't know how to have a good time here on the Chiff Chat podcast.
Now, Richard, I know you've got a couple of kiddie winkies. Were you ever tempted to name them after organ stops?
Yes, Clarabelle Flute.
Yeah.
Clarabelle would be a nice name.
I think there's some really attractive names for organ baby names.
So our children are, as most of my listeners know, it's Hugo and Charlotte. But the middle names are named after... So Hugo is Hugo Herbert.
Oh, that's lovely.
Herbert is quite a few composers. There's George Herbert, of course, a great writer of hymns. And Herbert Howells, Herbert Sumption, of course, the well-known composer.
Brewer.
And Herbert Brewer from that sort of, same sort of time. And then Charlotte is Charlotte Cecilia, patron saint of all musicians. But I can't confess to ever wanting to call my son, Bombard. Would be pretty cool.
Could tell you a lot about their personalities, I suppose.
It could, couldn't it? Yeah.
Tuba and Mirabilis.
Yep, and Voix Celeste. And I think Celeste isn't... I think there are some people called Celeste, and it's like celestial.
Good work,
Yeah. Or Vox Humana might work, because Vox Humana is meant to replicate the human voice, so you could name a really chatty boy or girl Vox Humana. Hey, Vox Humana, come here, Vox! You can just about see it work.
Might get a bit bullied in school.
Maybe.
Vox Humana, yeah. With tremulant, of course, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for chatting, Richard, and having me in your lovely house. Before we go, is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about or to plug at the moment?
I just like talking to people about everything to do with the organ, really, and something else. The plugging something. I do have a book coming out soon, BIS organ book, where I commissioned people to write for a competition, and all of the winning entries are going to be compiled into that, which I think is a really wonderful book. Going from people who are in their still teenagers, up to established composers. That's coming together very nicely. Nothing else to plug. If you want to find anything else about BIS, go onto YouTube.
Yeah, well, buy that book. Subscribe to Richard on YouTube. And let me just end by asking you that if you were stranded on a desert island and in a completely contrived state of affairs, all you had was a pair of headphones, an internet connection, and a lust to listen to a brilliant organ podcast, what on earth would you do?
Also, I've made a little passing trip to the island with a microphone for the sole purpose of extracting a little soundbite clip from you. Go.
I'd probably listen to Simon Mayo's Confessions podcast, actually.
Right, forget it.
Okay, right. Stop.
Well, there you go. Episode 1 of Chiff Chat, the organ podcast, is in the bag. Hooray! Hope you enjoyed it. Of course, we're just getting started. There are 5 more of these to go. It'd be great to borrow your ears for an hour or so again next time. Now, me, with my big old sack of hubris, thought running a podcast would be dead easy. It's not, as it turns out. It turns out it's quite a lot of work writing scripts and finding people to interview and editing it all together and working out how to get it online, all that sort of guff. So while this is free to listen to, if you think I've earned it, I've got a little tip jar, conveniently called Tip Jar, which you can put a few digital pennies into if you like. There'll be a link for that somewhere. I don't know. I'm writing this before I figured that part out. Thank you so much to Richard McVeigh for giving up his time. Make sure you go and subscribe to his YouTube channel and show him some support. He's doing brilliant work for the online organ community. In the meantime, don't forget you can send me an email with any burning organ-related questions you have to podcast@chiffchat.com. I'll give them a read, and if they're not too racy, I'll read them out next time. Particularly interested to know what organ stop you would name your baby after if you, had a screw loose. Strangely enough, this is exciting. We've actually already got an email in the old inbox, and it's from Barclays Bank. Dear Mr. Blore, you are falling behind on your mortgage payments. This is your first warning. Please arrange payment as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, there could be serious consequences. Oh. Well, you see, the mistake they've made there is that that's not a question about organs, so I'm sure you guys can do better than that. Anyway, see you next time for another special guest and some more chiff chatting about organs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, bye!